Back in May, I asked the question, would you like to charge your EV using spare solar power? I know I would. Well, guess what? I'm joined by Lee, the founding owner of MyEnergy. Lee, thanks very much for coming down today.
Thank you, Stuart.
Lee's come down to oversee the installation of Zappi and Eddi and also talk about the products. This is Zappy, the clever car charger. Lee, why is this cleverer than normal electric car chargers?
The main principle behind Zappy is that it can charge the vehicle with the surplus from the solar power or a wind turbine, if you have a wind turbine. It does this by turning up and down the charge dynamically in response to surplus power from the system and loads changing in the house.
Yeah.
So it might be that you're charging with surplus solar and then a large load turns on in the house, say like the kettle switched on or something, which is generally at least a couple of kilowatts. Then what Zappy will do is it will immediately reduce the charge to the car. But if it's too much power coming in from the grid, it can actually pause the charge as well, if you're using the Eco Plus charge mode.
Okay, so there's several charge modes?
Yes, that's right, yeah, there's 3 charge modes. So we've got fast charge, which is basically the same as an ordinary charge point.
They charge it at 7 kilowatts?
So it'll charge at 7 kilowatts if the vehicle has a 7 kilowatt charger.
Yep.
Then there's Eco Mode. In Eco Mode, will adjust the charge continuously between the minimum and maximum, which is generally about 1.3, 1.4 kilowatts up to 7 kilowatts.
Okay.
So it's continuously adjusting between those two values.
Depending on how much extra electricity you've got.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So that it's aiming to get 0 import or export from the grid.
Yeah. So you're not drawing anything from the grid. You're not sending anything.
That's
to the
right.
grid.
Yeah. But the 1.4 kilowatt minimum is actually because of the charging standard does not allow charging lower than that. So that's where the Eco Plus mode comes in. So if we're drawing too much power from the grid, we can actually pause the charge.
Okay.
And then continue again when there's enough surplus.
When charging in fast mode, the Zappy supplements the solar power with whatever it needs to achieve 7 kilowatts into the car, and we can see the analog meter spinning round a pace. But as soon as we switch to eco mode, the meter virtually stops as Zappy adjusts the load in order to achieve 0 watts usage from the grid and 0 watts being fed back into it. The fact that the meter is moving so slowly is an illustration of how accurately Zappy measures the electricity flow. On a sunny September morning, Stratford Energy Solutions came to install the Zappy EcoSmart charger. Our consumer unit and solar panel components are located on one side of the garage, so the cables need to be routed along the top of the wall to the opposite side as we're installing the Zappy at the far end. While Tim secures the power cable and a Cat 5 cable, Mark sets the location of the charger. We actually want it installed with a holster, so it's offset to the right slightly. Mark fits an isolator switch, a new fuse in the secondary consumer unit, and a breakout box for the optional sensor on the PV cable. These are the two cables coming out of the back of Zappy. Up and over towards the consumer unit. This side of the garage. Now, Lee, how is Zappy connected to the rest of the home?
It's basically coming straight from the consumer unit, which is this one here.
Yep.
And it's just got its own dedicated breaker in there.
Right.
The
EV charger.
charger there.
Okay.
And there's an isolation switch here, which is also serving just to convert from the armed cable.
Yep.
As well.
Okay.
On top of that, you also need a sensor to sense the import and export.
Yep.
And this can be wired or wireless. So
Okay.
there's an option for wireless, but that's an additional extra.
Right.
If you just want to wire it through, then you need a cable from the Zappy unit, and it goes through the wall here to the meter.
Okay, so this is, what type of cable is it?
So this one's been extended because the sensor is 5 meters long as standard,
Okay.
and as you can see, it's a bit more than 5 meters.
Yes.
So this has been extended using Cat 5 cable, just using one of the pairs in there, and then we also installed here an extra sensor to monitor the solar. So this isn't actually required, but does give a little bit more information on the screen. And this is also wired into this junction box, picking up one of the other pairs. So we're using 2 pairs in total of the Cat 5, and that wires back to the Zappy.
To the Zappy, okay. And this cable goes through the wall here to the meter.
So the Cat 5 is coming through the wall here and is joined onto the sensor cable here. And this is just a current transformer, which sends a signal for the import and export information back to the Zappy, and it's just secured to the cable. It's unintrusive installation. It just clips around and then it's a cable tied on there.
Lee, thanks very much for coming down today. It's quite a long way, isn't it? Where are you based?
Yeah, thank you, Stuart. I'm based in Lincolnshire, so it's about 3 hours, 3-hour drive.
Okay.
Just a bit more.
Right, appreciate the coming down. It's
no worries, Matt. Thanks for letting us use your home to demonstrate the products and making this video.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's an early adopter, so very
Yes.
excited. Oh, by the way, for transparency, I purchased these. This isn't
Yes.
this isn't an advert
No.
for MyEnergy. You're not paying me to do this. I'm just
That's it, yeah.
an enthusiastic early adopter, and I bought these and. Yeah.
That's right.
So you came down for 2 reasons. First, to talk to me today about the products, which I'm very grateful for, but also to oversee the installation. It's the first installation in the UK of Zappi and Eddi together, I understand, is that
That's
right?
right, yeah. So we're really keen to see how that works for a real customer.
Yeah. So somewhat of a beta tester, but it's going very well.
Yeah.
Can you give us a really brief overview of what Zappi, Eddi and Harvey are?
Yeah, sure. So Zappy is an EV charge point which uses surplus power from the solar system to charge the car.
Okay, so basically charge your car for free, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we've got Eddi, which is essentially a management system for water heating from surplus solar, or you can also use it for space heating as well.
Okay, so basically the same idea, but instead of putting the energy into your car, you're putting it into your immersion heater, say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Harvey is a device to make installations that bit easier in certain circumstances because it's a wireless sensor, which just means you just clip it around the meter tail, and it doesn't require any electrical wiring or batteries. So it just makes the installation really easy.
And there's an app coming as well.
That's right. Yeah. So we're developing an app for all of the MyEnergy products in one app. So you'll be able to see and control the energy remotely without having to go to a device. You can see the car's charging in eco mode now, so I want to go out later, so I'm going to switch to fast to make sure I've got enough charge. Or you can change the priorities or set the boost times, those type of things. And of course you've got a great monitoring system. That will be. It will need an extra little bit of hardware just to get the information from the units and get it into the router, internet router.
Okay.
So you need the MyEnergy hub for that.
Yeah.
And that will then allow you to use the MyEnergy app.
Okay, and that's coming this
So
year? Or?
this will be probably early next year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any figures at the moment for any potential financial benefits of having Zappy?
Well, we haven't got solid figures. We've got like estimated figures until, because we haven't got enough outlet to really know yet.
Yeah.
And EVs are quite new anyway, really. So it's hard to know just how much you're really gonna save, but it's quite obvious that it will be quite substantial, because you're going to be using more of the solar energy and less of the grid energy.
Yeah.
So that's its aim.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the range of the vehicle, and how much you need to charge each day. Of course, the weather is a big one.
Yeah. So there's lots of variables, but
there's a huge amount of variables. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll be interested to see, but we expect the payback to be somewhere around about 3 to 5 years on average.
yeah.
And of course, the important thing is no other charge point on the market has a payback period.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Speaking of which, so obviously it's an innovative product. There's nothing else like it on the market, right?
As far as we know, there's not an eco smart charge point like Zappy, which will use the surplus power and allow you to control the energy in such a way.
We both saw this news story recently where people were talking about the problems of charging your car at home, blowing the fuses and stuff like that. So the MyEnergy ecosystem protects against that by never drawing too much power. Is that right?
There is the option for that in the system. Yeah.
Okay.
You can set the maximum import power.
Right.
And
for all of the products connected.
Yeah, so you set them individually because it depends on the sort of priority you want. But so you could say to in the Zappy, I don't want to import more than 15 kilowatts, say.
Okay.
So that will protect against the danger of blowing a fuse if you've got too much load in the house.
Okay. Now there is a sort of spanner in the works that's been set by the people who created the standards for car charging, and that is that the minimum input when you're charging your car is 6 amps, which equates to about 1.3 or 4 kilowatts. So if your surplus solar energy is less than 1.3 or 4 kilowatts, you won't be charging the car anyway.
If you set it to use 100% solar energy, yeah.
Right.
But you can adjust that threshold down so that you get a mix of grid and solar energy. The eco mode is it's charging without pausing, but using as little from the grid as possible.
Right.
Whereas the Eco Plus mode is charging with pausing if there's power or too much power coming in from the grid.
Right. So to clarify then, Eco mode charges the car using as much surplus solar power as it can, supplemented with power from the grid if it absolutely needs to.
Yes.
And then Eco Plus mode only charges a car with surplus solar power. So there isn't a guarantee that your car will be charged on any particular day.
That's right, because it will pause the charge, and you can set the threshold of where it pauses. So you can say, well, I will accept 50% import, for example, but I don't want any more than that. So you set the target green level of the energy in the battery that you're aiming for. Right. So in your case, you wanted it 100%. So
yes.
So you're only using surplus because in the evenings you want to use the economy rate tariff charging.
Right.
So that's where you can set it so you can have it plugged in during the day and it will just use the surplus, and then in the evening it will automatically switch on to a fast charge and use the economy rate tariff.
To ensure that the car's always charged in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's fundamentally a simple product when you think about it in terms of it's an eco smart car charger using surplus solar energy, but in fact to offer the flexibility in all the scenarios, it's actually quite a complex product in terms of the software.
And it may sound a bit complicated when we're talking about it, but from using it myself from the early development stages, you quickly see what features and how you want it to work.
Yeah.
So essentially, you just want to be able to plug it in and forget about it.
Right.
Knowing that it's going to use or charge your car in the lowest cost way. That's the ultimate aim for it. And then there are lots of different settings you can change to adjust how that works, but you don't need to understand all that. You can just leave all that and leave it on the defaults, and it will do
its job.
Yeah.
Excellent. When people purchase the Zappi and Eddi, and potentially the Harvey as well, it has to be installed by
a competent person is the legal definition of
right.
So
they have to have their regulations or the certificates to install electrical products.
Just like any other electrical device that needs wiring into the home.
Okay, so you're establishing a network of installers?
Yeah, we have a lot of installs already signed up on the website, and of course we welcome any new ones. So you can just put your postcode in and find the nearest installer, or you can just use a local electrician for most of the products as well.
Okay.
Apart from if you want to take advantage of the OLEV scheme for the Zappy, because it is OLEV registered, which means you could get 75% of the product and the installation paid for, up to a value of £500. So you can check your eligibility on the OLEV government website. And if you are able to get OLEV, we have OLEV accredited installers listed on the website. So that's how you can get the Zappy installed. And
for installers and for homeowners, is it a particularly intrusive, complicated, long-winded job, or is it reasonably straightforward?
Now, the products are designed to be easy to install. The Zappy, for example, installs like an ordinary car charge point, so usually on the outside or in the garage, and you just have a supply from the fuse board to the unit, and then the sensor on the meter tail.
Okay, now our install took a morning.
Yes, for both products. Yeah.
It did appear to be very straightforward.
Yes, there's not a lot to it really. It's just understanding most issues we have are where installers have not put the sensor in the right place. So it's as simple as that. Yeah.
Okay. What if somebody like we had already got a charge point on the outside of their house? I guess it makes no difference if you're adding more charge points. It's just that unless you've got more than one car, they become redundant.
That's it. Yeah. Well, like we say, we've already got the maximum import management, so you're not going to blow the fuse by having both of them on, because Zappy will reduce its charging power when your standard charger is in use.
Right.
So that will just automatically be managed. But essentially, a standard charger would take priority because it would be seen as just an ordinary house load.
Yeah.
And the way the system's set up is that anything used in the house has the highest priority.
Right.
Then, in your case, you wanted the Zappy car charger to take the next priority, and then the Eddi water heater to have the lowest priority.
Yeah. Will Zappy work with any solar panels and inverter?
Yes, yeah. Both products, both Eddi and Zappy, don't really care about what the generator is.
Okay.
Whether it's PV or a wind turbine or CHP, combined heat and power, it doesn't matter. It's just looking for surplus power that's going to the grid, and if it's there, use it.
If someone has already got battery storage, like a Tesla Powerwall or something like that, do they work with that? How do they integrate with that particular scenario?
Yeah, there's an option of using an extra sensor to measure what the battery system is doing, so it can measure whether the battery system's charging or giving energy, and again you can choose which one you want to be priority. So whether in most cases people tend to want the battery system to charge first, and then the car or the water heater to take any surplus after that. And also don't want the battery to charge and then to discharge into the water heating, because obviously that's low grade energy. You don't want to be doing that.
Right.
You want to only use the battery for electric supply. So it's essential that we have that functionality to be able to control where the energy is used.
Would that be a separate device on the app that you can see?
Yeah, it will be shown on the app as well, so you'll be able to see, if you install that sensor, you'll be able to see the battery charging, discharging. So when we do release that, you will be able to have a full energy management system showing all the MyEnergy products, so what the car is doing, what the water heater is doing, what the house is how much is used in the house, and any import and export, what the generation's doing, and what the battery system's doing. It sounds like a lot, but it'll be nice and graphical and clear energy flows, and you'll have all the historic information as well.
Excellent. So it keeps logs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Keeps all the logs and all the energy data over whether you want to view it by hour or by week or month or whatever.
What's on the cards in terms of enhancements or new features for Zappy?
So for Zappy, we will be releasing 2 more models. One will be the untethered, so it has a socket on the front rather than the charge cable, because we've had quite a few people asking for that as well.
Yeah.
And the 3-phase 22 kilowatt version as well, which will be out next year.
Okay. Will that be for commercial installations, perhaps?
But also there are some domestic properties with 3-phase,
yeah.
and particularly in other parts of Europe, you get a lot of domestic properties with 3-phase. So that's a strong market for us. So we want to develop the product for that.
Okay. Well, Lee, thank you very much
Thanks
for driving all the way down and spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stuart.